through the smoke of World War II. Two hearts spoke through ink and paper. A nurse and a soldier whose letters carried more than words. They carried hope. This is the story of Eleanor and James. A tale woven from courage, longing, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Our story begins in 1942. James, a young man from Ohio with a quick smile and a love for baseball, found himself on a transport ship heading for the European front. The world he knew was shrinking behind him, replaced by an endless, uncertain ocean. Meanwhile, in a bustling field hospital in England, Eleanor, a compassionate nurse from Boston, was tending to the endless stream of wounded. Her days were a blur of antiseptic smells, hushed whispers of pain, and the constant, draining effort to mend broken bodies. Their paths would cross not on the battlefield, but through a program designed to boost morale. Pen pals for patriots. A friend of Ellen, seeing her loneliness, signed erat. Miles away, in a muddy trench, James's sergeant passed around a list of names. He randomly picked one. Eleanor Vance. He had no idea that this simple act would change his life forever. His first letter was short, almost shy. He wrote about the relentless rain, the terrible food, and how he missed the sound of rain on a tin roof back home. He didn't mention the fear that clung to the air like damp fog. Eleanor's reply was a beacon of light. She wrote about the small victories in the hospital, a patient who finally smiled, the surprisingly beautiful English sunset she'd witnessed after a long shift. She didn't mention the exhaustion that settled deep in her bones. And so, their correspondence began. A fragile thread connecting to souls in the midst of chaos. James wrote, "Eleanor, your letters are like a window to a world I'm fighting to get back to. When I read your words, I can almost smell the clean linen you describe, and for a moment, the stench of gunpowder fades. You talk about the courage of your patients. Let me tell you, your courage in facing that every day is just as profound." Eleanor would read his letters by the dim light of a lantern, her heart aching for this man she'd never met. She replied, "James, you call me courageous, but it is your letters that give me strength. You write of home, and you make me remember why we are all making these sacrifices. I keep your picture, the one you sent with that bashful grin, in my locket. It reminds me that beyond this war, there are good men like you, with good hearts, waiting to build a peaceful world." Their letters became more personal, more intimate. They shared dreams. James dreamed of opening a small bookstore. Eleanor dreamed of having a garden filled with roses. They weren't just a soldier and a nurse anymore. They were James and Eleanor. Two people falling in love through ink and paper. He described the vibrant colors of a French village before a battle, and she described the quiet dignity of a soldier who'd lost a limb but not his spirit. The war raged on. The Battle of the Bulge was a turning point. For weeks, Eleanor heard nothing. The silence was deafening, a void more terrifying than any news. She worked tirelessly, her hands healing others, while her own heart was breaking with worry. Every time a new wave of wounded arrived, she scanned their faces, praying she wouldn't see his. She wrote to him every day, even with no reply, filling pages with hope she wasn't sure she still had. "My dearest James," one letter read, "wherever you are, please be safe. The world feels so dark without your words. I am holding on to the thought of your bookstore and my rose garden. Our dreams are my anchor. Please come home." Then, one day, a letter arrived. The handwriting was shaky, unfamiliar. It was from James's friend. It explained that James had been severely wounded, but he was alive. He had lost his leg, but not his will to live. The relief that washed over Eleanor was so immense, she nearly collapsed. A few weeks later, a letter from James himself finally came. He wrote, "Eleanor, I'm not the same man who left Ohio. Part of me is left behind on that frozen field, but the part of me that loves you is stronger than ever. Can you love a man who is less than whole?" Her reply was immediate and fierce. "James, you are more whole to me than any man I have ever known. Your heart, your mind, your spirit. That is the man I fell in love with. A leg is just a leg. Come home. Your bookstore is waiting, and I will plant our roses myself." When the war finally ended, James was sent to a recovery hospital in England, the same hospital where Eleanor worked. The day he arrived, She was on duty. She saw his name on the patient list, and her breath caught in her throat. She walked to his bedside, her heart pounding. He looked up, his eyes finding hers across the room. The world seemed to stop. All the letters, all the longing, all the fear and hope culminated in that single moment. He smiled, that same bashful grin from the photograph. "Eleanor," he whispered. She could only nod, tears streaming down her face. He reached out his hand, and she took it. It felt like coming home. In a world torn apart by war, their love, nurtured by whispered words on paper, had not only survived, it had triumphed. James and Eleanor's story is a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, connection can be a lifeline. Their letters, crossing oceans and battlefields, were more than just communication. They were a testament to hope, resilience, and the extraordinary power of love to find a way. They did build that bookstore, and Eleanor did plant her rose garden. Theirs was a life built on a foundation of written words, proving that sometimes the most profound connections are the ones we can't see, but feel with all our hearts. Thank you so much for joining me to hear the incredible story of Eleanor and James. If you were touched by their journey, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more stories that celebrate the human spirit. Let me know in the comments what part of their story resonated with you the most. Until next time. Take care.